right, next thing we're going to learn is about the HUD, or heads-up display, or basically just a button in 2D space. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a button to make this robot jump. So up in the top left-hand corner, you have Add Video, Lights, Cameras, and then HUD. So I'm going to click the Add HUD button. It'll create my new HUD. And you'll notice it's here. I can rename it. I'm going to call it Start Robot. Great. And then what I can do is I can right click it and it says add square, copy, delete. I'm going to add a square and it adds a 2D HUD button. Now, of course, it's right in the middle of my screen because it's kind of annoying. So I'm going to put it at the bottom of my screen. And then what you'll notice is as I put 0 there, it's pushing it right down. And because the pivot point is actually in the center of this square, so I could actually change this pivot point up by 100. Oops, 100. Oh, minus 100, I guess, minus 100. And now the pivot point is actually at the bottom of that screen, or bottom of the square. So you can do it by pivot point, or you can also do it by position if I wanted to put it up 100. So I can push it up, or I can pull the pivot point. This is a very fundamental basics of 3D, because as you're moving things around in 3D space, sometimes you want it to rotate around the center of the robot. Sometimes you want to rotate it around maybe a pivot point over here. So pivot is very important in the more advanced things, but let's get back to our HUD. I'm going to click my HUD here, and our HUD opens up, again, your transform. You can also change colors, very similar to everything you would do in the scene. So let's go red, and we're going to make the robot turn red and animate. So here's what we're going to do. We've got our button. We're happy with that. So we have to make something called a configuration, and this is tied directly to buttons. So you've got a button now. Now, what do you want to make it do? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next button over in the top left here. It's called Add Configurations, and our whole system runs on this. This is the magic sauce of the MetaVRse engine. So I'm going to click Add Configuration, and we're going to call it Red Config. Okay, we'll just call it red. So when I click that, you'll notice that a new button appears up in the inspector window on the right called Enter Config Mode, and when I enter that, I'm now in configuration mode, and anything I do here before I hit exit will be locked into this configuration. So for example, I want to make the plane, I don't know, we'll make it blue. Okay, we're going to make the plane blue, and we're going to make the robot head red. So its head's red, and there we go. So we're happy with that. And for example, I want to maybe move him forward a little bit. I hit exit. Now what I can do is I can turn on and off that configuration simply by turning it on and off. So you can see my configuration worked. Great. So what I also want to do, let's go back into my config mode, and I'm going to make the red button blue so you can see. There we go. So now exit. Now my on and off is very noticeable. Okay, so I'm going to leave it off, and we're going to assign that configuration to this button. So I click the button. I've got its transform, I've got its texture files, animation, which isn't there. Actually, let me show you that first. If I click the robot and I click his animation, you can see that he has some animations, a drill feature, right? He's got a claw feature, he's got a jump, whee, and then he's got a sprint, and his tires spinning. So we're going to do the jump because it's pretty cool. There we go. So we're going to make the red button assigned to that. So I'm going to click the button again. Again, I have my information panel, but I also have this code tab. And this code tab is assigned to a piece of code. So you can drop any code tab you want in there, any code snippet we call it. And if you look here under assets, we have add folder, we've got add JavaScript or new JavaScript, and then you've got downloads. You can download all your assets by simply clicking that, and you'll notice it just creates an asset folder there, which you can export your assets. This is different than exporting the entire project. They are different, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to click the new JavaScript, and you'll see some menus come down. So we're going to click the Mega Controller, and if you're a JavaScript coder and you're used to that, you can right-click any piece of JavaScript. You can bring in your own as well. You can edit, and of course, you now have an onboard JavaScript editor. So you can, without having to leave the MetaVRse window, you can get in there and code things like spins or color changes or whatever you want. You have full capability of the JavaScript onboard of the MetaVRse editor. Now, for those who don't know JavaScript, we made it quite simple. You take the Mega Controller, you just drop it into your code tab, and it will give you some options. For example, this Mega Controller has options for camera. So what a camera is a fly-in. So for example, I want to maybe fly into this angle here. I'm happy with that. I can use current camera. Now, no matter where I am, if I'm out here, whoops, for example, and I click go to camera, it'll fly me to the right camera. Now, how long do we want to do it? Let's say we're going to take, I don't know, let's say 5 seconds. 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds it's going to take to fly into this angle. Now we're going to click the next one underneath is configuration. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our scene again, and we're going to turn on and off our configuration. That's the one we want. Perfect. We're going to take it, drag it onto configuration, let go, and it says enable after camera. So after the camera fly-in of 5 seconds, it's going to turn that red and blue and all of the great things. So I'm going to go after camera. Now, here's a great thing about our system. Anything you add, some code, some objects, whatever you want, and you want to see what it's going to really look like, you can simply hit preview. When you hit preview, it loads real time what the project is going to look like to the end user. So this is the exact end user. If you want to see what it's going to look like on a cell phone, you can move it over, and that's what it's going to look like in a cell phone. When I click the red button now, let's say I'm out here, it's going to take 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, turn red and jump. Ah, we're missing the jump. Okay, so let's go back in there and let's add the jump feature. So we're going to click the button again because the button is going to trigger all these things. It's already triggering the camera fly-in. It's triggering the configuration. You can put post or pre or post JavaScript addition on there. You can also add an object animation. And so since this robot has an animation, I simply drag it, drop it, and it says which animation do I want. From a drop-down menu, I want it to jump. Perfect. And then it gives you start time, end time, delay, speed, all of that. So let's test it. Preview. Great. I'm going to zoom out. It's going to click the red button in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and jump. All right, so there you go. That's how to add functionality. First of all, adding a HUD, adding functionality to the HUD. You can also add a video component to this. So the interesting thing is we're going to add a video component to this plane. So let's go top left-hand corner, add video. When you click new video, you'll notice an inspector panel comes up on the right, and you can add by file or URL. We're going to do a URL now because we have the ability to do so. All right, I'm going to go to our notes. We're going to grab this file here, and we're just going to direct it. I'm streaming it directly from one of our servers now, so you've got a video, some dead mouse, sweet. All right, I'm happy with that, and I can either mute it, I can autoplay it, or I can loop it. So I'm going to take off the mute because I like the music. I'm going to loop it. We're going to turn the volume down just a bit. And of course, we're going to change the loading color to black because we don't want that. Great, so now I'm going to apply this video that we just made to this plane. And I simply take the video we made and drop it on the albedo. And that's all there is to it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to assign the play button to our button here. So I click my button again. I go to the code tab. Oops, click the button. Go to the code tab. Camera, configuration, pre and post JavaScript, object animation, which we did, video component. You take the video you just made and we'll call it dead mouse. Don't forget to name things. Dead mouse 5. And I'm just going to drag it onto the button controller. So I click the button, go to the code tab, go to the video component, take dead mouse video, drag it here. Okay, after camera, play the video. Preview, and let's see if it works. Great. I'm going to fly out and then take 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Play video. Perfect. We got a dancing robot. Woo! Woo! Boing! Now you notice the video is actually kind of dark. So what we're going to do is we're going to lighten that up. So you can do two things. You can take a light and you can lighten it up, but it'll lighten everything, including the robot. Or you can just simply take the plane and increase its brightness here by saying maybe, I don't know, 500, 500, 500. So that's actually lighting it up from within the plane, and you'll notice that it's now much, much brighter. And this is handy, yeah, there you go. This is handy for lighting things that, maybe you don't want to light the whole scene, you just want to light the plane with the video playing on it. But now you go, there you go. All right. Now the cool thing about this is you can start to do things like you can add a sphere. Let's say, for example, you want to add, oops, what am I doing here? Oh, that's object groups. Delete. There we go. I want to maybe add a sphere, and I want to take this and I want to make it huge, wrap it all around you, and then I'm going to add that video to the sphere by taking the video we made, dropping it in here, and now when I hit preview, you'll see I'm inside the sphere. I hit play. It's going to play the video, but it's going to play the video on the sphere as well, so it's going to look super cool. So you can start to get really creative with this, and you'll notice that if I zoom way out, I'm actually inside the sphere. And of course you can put 360 videos on this as well. Alright, so there you go. There's how to add a HUD, add a video, and yeah, that's very cool. See you next time.